When Lori asked me if I would present the Distinguished Service Award to my mentor, Dr. Bob Shirley, I immediately said yes, and I quickly added that I would be honored to do so, and I am. How does one describe Bob Shirley? Bob is quick to tell you that he is simply a South Carolinian from Honeypath, a town in the northwest part of the state. But there's so much more to Bob Shirley. He is also an English scholar, a published poet, a philosopher, a storyteller, and a teacher. He is indeed a Renaissance man. Back in the 1950s, Bob was a Marine, then a banker, before he discovered that education was really his passion. He started his education career at Summit School in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. From there, he went on to Heathwood Hall Episcopal School in Columbia, South Carolina, where he served as head for 22 years. In 2000, Bob left Heathwood, telling everyone he was retiring. But those of us who knew him well knew that he could never sit still long enough to retire. And so we were not surprised when he was soon an interim head at Gaston Day School, Brimmer and May, Charleston Collegiate, and Woodlawn. While leading these schools, he was also the executive director of the National Center for Independent School Renewal. Along the way, he even spent a year leading the Columbia Museum of Art as the executive director. Today, Bob is back at Heathwood, co-teaching a class on Plato's Republic with Heathwood's upper school director, George Schouten. So what was it like to work for Bob Shirley? My 12 years working for Bob were exciting, stimulating, challenging, and never dull. Bob is an insatiable reader and a very quick one. He challenged his staff to read books that stretched our minds and helped us grow, just as he did with his students. I should add that as a member of the leadership team, we would sit at staff meetings waiting for Bob to say, "I'm reading this book. Have any of you read this?" And we'd bury our heads because we never had. And we'd quickly write down the title and the author and think that the bedside books were piling higher and higher because there was no way to keep up with him. While Bob pushed us to work hard, he always found time to tell a funny story to make us laugh. Our annual administrative staff winter retreats held in a North Carolina inn were intense, but we found a way to break them up with laughter. Like the time the staff came back to our meeting room after dinner, dressed in pajamas and robes, to make the point that it was late and time to go to bed. Bob didn't miss a beat and continued the meeting. Didn't bother him if we wanted to be comfortable and work in our sleepwear. At the last of our mountain retreats, before Bob retired from Heathwood, he was beginning to relax a bit. The last afternoon of our retreat, while he was resting, the staff put our heads together and rewrote the lyrics to Motown songs so that My Girl became Bob Deal. We serenaded him dressed in costume-like attire with accessories that included a plunger that we had borrowed in the inn's facilities closet. Bob loved our performance, and there's a photo that I think you've perhaps seen here that captures the moment. The SAIS Distinguished Service Award is given to individuals who have served both independent schools and SAIS. Bob Shirley has done that as a true servant leader. Some might say that he has been generous to a fault with his time, talent, and treasure, but Bob knows no other way. His dozen is 13, always giving more than required. Bob, thank you for your dedication and service to independent education, as well as to SAIS. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I'm delighted to present you with the 2018 SAIS Distinguished Service Award.
My wife made me write this out. She said I'm apt to say outrageous things if I don't write down what I want to say. As a matter of fact, once a while back, we owned a little farm in southwest Virginia, and one day I was talking to one of my favorite mountain people who said, as he watched her baling hay, "You know, you just can't hardly hit her up wrong." Well, when I think of Mary Fred Slella, who came to us, I made the staff put on silk stockings because we wanted to impress her. We wanted her to come to our school, and she came as a part-time person to do some surveys for us. And ended up being head of the lower school, then assistant head for finance, and then associate head for finance and operations. And when I left, she was virtually running the place. The new head wrote and said he wanted this, 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 and this. And Mary Fred said, "Gosh, doesn't he know that we have jobs here to do?" I said, "Mary Fred, the last of the cowboys is leaving." But thank you, Mary Fred, for your introduction. And Sandra Adams, what can you say about Sandra Adams? She has been a friend for almost 50 years, and she came out of Honeypath, which has got to be a good thing. Mother and Dad went to two different Baptist churches, and Mother went to one downtown, and Dad went to one out in the country, and the families didn't want that country person marrying into their family. So that's where I come from. But I ended up at Summit School with Sandra Adams 2 years after I got there, Rufus Bethea, many of you know him, former head of a number of the schools, St. Paul's and school in Greenville, Christ Church School. I met Rufus when I was in the military. I played basketball one day with him in the gym, and I didn't realize what a temper he had. I learned that. And we had a good time. But then Rufus talked me into leaving the bank and going to work at Summit School. At the Summit School, I was with Sandra and with a number of people sitting in this room, too many to really mention. But Sandra did everything at the school. She was very popular with the kids, and she taught a sex education class that you wouldn't believe. On a serious side, Douglas Lewis was my mentor, and I want to tell you young people who are assistant head somewhere, I was jealous of the man because I had come out of the Marine Corps as an officer, and I was ready to go. I thought I could do it. Do you know it took me years to sit down and write that man a letter and say how wrong I was? He was Sandra's mentor, my mentor, Rufus Bethea's mentor. He was a great educator, and he carried his clothes to conferences sometimes in a violin case. Very interesting man. Didn't believe in debt, didn't believe that a school should have any debt, and as long as he was there, the school didn't have any debt. People at Reynolds got mad at him when everything fell apart and you could borrow money for 2 or 3%. They wanted Doug to borrow money, but he wouldn't do it. Doug taught me a lot about running a school. He taught me what it means to care for children and to know that it's a child's world. And I saw him, Sandra and I both saw him about 2 weeks ago at the class reunion of an English class I taught 50 years ago. And Doug is 91. He has just finished remodeling a house down near Old Salem by himself with a kind of drunk drummer helping him out part of the day. And he's doing very well. And he is an amazing man. And I think Sandra had said that. Sandra's amazing. Mary Fred's amazing. You're all amazing in this business. It's one I love. And thank you very much to the trustees who have given me this award, and I will treasure it. Thank you.